Now, the bracket was revealed, and Texas versus Clemson is the matchup. I didn't really know what I was thinking when we got this matchup at first. Thought about it a little bit more. I like the matchup. Do I wish? I don't know. I feel like SMU and Clemson are pretty similar offensively, especially with Kevin Jennings and Cade Klubnik can both create from the pocket. So that's going to be interesting. We're going to have to deal with that. Gerald, what do you think of Clemson?
I mean, Clemson is a well-coached team. Like, I have my personal issues with Dabo Swinney, but like he's got that coaching staff where it needs to be. He's got them playing really well at the right time, and they've won championships in that program. It's been a minute, but they've won championships. Like, they know what they're doing. Cade Klubnik is a guy who I think would love to come into Austin, come home, and spoil things for the home team. There was that recruiting that recruitment was that whole cycle was weird at the quarterback position, but I think he would love to come into Austin and walk out with a win. They are a good team. I think he's probably the best quarterback Texas has played this year. I mean, they hit a bunch of backups on the road here, which is fine, but I think he is a guy who can make with his feet. He's got the longest run from scrimmage, I think, for the team, though, and that come from behind win late in the game where he scrambled, I think, 50 yards to score. But Texas has done well against dual threat quarterbacks this year. That's one of the things that Pete Kwiatkowski does really well is figures out how to neutralize a dual threat quarterback. But I'll be honest with you, Klubnik's probably got the best arm of all the dual threat guys that we've seen this year. So it'll be interesting. I think Texas, I think, is 11.5-point favorite at this point, which maybe feels a little too generous, but that it could also just be Georgia PTSD.
Yeah, I agree. Honestly, it's Texas. What happens? Do they execute in the red zone? Do they not execute in the red zone? Do they shoot themselves in the foot? Do they not shoot themselves in the foot? Another thing we didn't mention, they are terrible in the third quarter. For whatever reason, don't know what happens. Are you going to be bad in the third quarter in this game? History says yes. So does the red zone. So yeah, 11. If all that stuff holds up, then yeah, it is too many points. I think it's probably like a 7-point game because of that. I think it's a low-scoring game as well because we're unable to score because you can't score in the red zone. So that makes complete sense. You have 600 yards in the last 6 quarters, and you have 17 or 16 points or 19 points, total because you didn't score in the half for A&M. So yeah, this is an interesting matchup. I think we're going to be able to. This is a thing too. If we run outside zone early and we run it well, that's going to tell me everything I need to know. Whenever we can execute outside zone and run it down people's throats, we'll win the football game. When you can't do that, we lose the football game. It's kind of that simple, honestly. And for Clemson, how is Phil Maffa? I know he's hurt at the running back position. If he's hurt, they're going to have some issues. They're going to have to really rely on Cade Klubnik. And I like Cade Klubnik. I think he's a decent quarterback, but is he a guy that you want throwing 35, 40 times? No. He'll turn the ball over. And Texas, especially ball-hawking defense, will get him to turn the ball over. So it's going to be interesting. I think Clemson's defense is decent with Peter Woods and the defensive line up front. Linebackers are okay. They're not great. They're young. And then secondary's not great. Avian Terrell's their best one. After that, they're kind of meh back there. They definitely miss Andrew Makuba, so thank you for him.
This is players on Texas defense.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're definitely going to miss him when he leaves next year. But yeah, overall, I think this is a solid football team. But if Texas plays to the level that we know they're capable of, we should win this game by 2 to 3 scores, honestly. We should. Does that mean that will happen? No, because there are games that we should have, we were up big and then we let teams come back. Really, the only team we blew out was Florida. That was a third-string quarterback. Honestly, I don't think they really cared about that game. They kind of treated it like that. Once they went down, they were like, you know what? We don't have a quarterback. We're not going to win this game. Let's mail this in. So we'll see what happens. I think it'll be a good game for a half, and then I think Texas will pull away, I'm hoping. But this is just, again, early view. We'll get into it deeper next week. But overall, it's going to be a very interesting matchup.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be – I don't think they're going to play defense as well as Georgia or even Texas A&M, so I feel like the offense should be able to move the ball better. And their offense is solid, but again, like you said, is Maffa going to be healthy? And if he's not, then that puts a lot on Cade Klubnik's shoulders. And, Pete Kwiatkowski schematically is really – when you have to rely on one thing, he's really good at taking that thing away. So if that is the case and they have to rely on Klubnik on his own, I like Texas for sure.
Yeah, so that's the thing. If I had to compare him to a team, I would compare him to A&M with a slightly worse defense, but a slightly better offense. That's what I think they are.
So, I think that's fair. I think it's completely fair.
Yeah, so, and we should have beat A&M 31-0. But again, we didn't execute in the red zone, and it was 17-7. So that's I could definitely see that. I could literally see again 17-7 because we just shoot ourselves in the foot.
Yeah.
And what Texas to me, can you execute for a half? Because if you can just execute for a half and get up like 21-3 or something like that, and force Cade Klubnik to throw, I think you win the game pretty easily. It's again, if you're going to allow them to run the football, allow them to run Cade Klubnik, it's going to be interesting. It will get close. And listen, you may disagree with Dabo Swinney on some things, but he has national championships. He's a good coach. And I don't want that game tied in the fourth quarter with that guy on the sideline. I just don't want that. So I think you'll know pretty early, honestly, if this game's going to be close or not. So, because Texas, once in a blue moon, will show up and just absolutely obliterate their opponent in the first half. We've seen it versus Oklahoma State. We saw it versus Texas Tech down the stretch last year. But really, other than those two games the last 2 years, I'm trying to think of any other game where we came out and just, damn, we just jumped all over them. Florida, I don't think there's really any other game like that. Like, we didn't do that even versus Oklahoma when we beat them 34-0. So it's going to be interesting.
It will, like you said, I think we'll know early on if Texas can get those edges. If Quatravian Weisner is able to find some space in the outside zone scheme, then I think Texas is able to roll pretty easily.
I agree. Again, we'll dive into that deeper next week. And also, I'm going to try to set up a crossover with the Clemson guys as well. So stay tuned for that, guys. If we can get that set up, I think it'll be a lot of fun.